The survival game genre is still one of the most popular ones these days, and you have the choice between a plethora of games with new additions and approaches on a regular base. Here are 8 games that are currently on my personal top tier list. This includes older titles, which are still receiving updates and additions and have a strong modding community in some cases, also some early access games, but only if those are already rich on content, so no alpha stages or bare bones tech demos. And of course some new titles released this year. The order of occurrence is not meant as a ranking, and all games feature PvE only and solo player modes with one exception, but that one can still be played on your own. Kicking this list off is Enshrouded, which has come a long way, and while it is still early access, it has received 2 significant updates with more content and various combat improvements. The game certainly feels already very late early access and offers a significant amount of content. It is a very interesting mix of your typical survival, crafting and base building loop, spiced up with an ARPG-like combat and progression system. You have constant gear progression and quests that send you to new places to unlock new crafting opportunities, for example. They also added customizable difficulty settings, where you can specify a lot of details like enemy health, damage, resource costs and so on. Overall, it is a really nice blend of an ARPG-like approach with a great base building system. It is a mixture of chill exploration, very cool locations, some easy to master combat, simple quests, satisfying gear collection and engaging crafting plus base building. Icarus Survival Evolved is one of the most refined survival experiences on the market. It was released back in 2021, but still gets weekly updates and substantial additions to the game. It is a very interesting low-tech, high-tech mix where you are technically very advanced but start out with the usual basics. Working your way through the massive tech trees and RPG-like skill trees to specialize in certain areas is the main appeal of this game. Nature, the weather and wildlife are your enemies, so no zombies to be found here. Combat is fine and you even get your hands on some guns later in the game, but it is certainly not the main focus of the game. Developing a big base, establishing new technologies, exploiting resources, taming mounts and pets, and progressing through the aforementioned huge tech trees are progression goals that keep you going. It has become a very polished game, including quests and big missions to unlock initially blocked passages on the massive maps, for example. The whole quest and expedition aspect of the game has constantly been worked on, providing interesting things to do. It is not so much a high adrenaline-driven experience with constant combat, but more about establishing a high-tech base and self-sustained life on a new planet. You have 2 huge Earth-like maps and one much harder and more alien landscape, all with their own biomes and challenges. It is more a survival game that focuses on your overall growth and can be a very chill and satisfying experience. You also have different game modes to choose from and a very interesting overarching workshop system where you can acquire a special currency on your journeys to purchase advanced gear for your next playthrough. This system adds another progression layer and long-time motivation. V-Rising left early access this year and is a pretty unique survival game. It is a fully fleshed out ARPG with a superb active combat system, a ton of weapons, abilities, spells and cool boss fights. It would really work as an ARPG on its own, but on top you get an extremely cool survival game. Playing as a vampire, sunlight is your enemy. The base building and crafting features are extensive and you can constantly progress through the various crafting tiers. The game has a built-in solo mode where you can host your own game and modify the difficulty extensively to your liking. The whole blood-sucking mechanic is also a very cool and well-implemented feature. You need blood for yourself to heal and exist, and your castle to work, and you can adapt certain passive traits from the different blood types you use. Blood works basically as a hunger, thirst and fuel replacement, and the mimicking of your involuntary donor's abilities is a small strike of genius here. And let's be real, building your own vampire castle with the extensive building feature is pretty cool. But I cannot stress enough how much fun the combat and ARPG aspects of this game are. Imagine playing a Diablo Light with survival and base building mechanics. State of Decay 2 is the oldest title on this list, but it still receives updates to this day and has a very active modding community to provide you with tons of cool mods for the game. You can think of it as a much leaner and less bloated Once Human set in a zombie apocalypse, but the third-person playstyle is somewhat similar. And instead of collecting strange combat companions, you can manage and nurture a whole community of survivors. You can play very lean with only a few or go big and expand your community. There is even a lone wolf mod available to play on your own. If you want to learn more about the best mods for the game, I did make a video about those. It is all about sneaking through hordes of zombies, collecting materials to survive, building up your base and collecting better guns and explosives to battle the plague hearts, which are the source of your local infestations. They added a so-called curveball system for a more dynamic experience and just recently further refined this feature by adding a detailed difficulty setting for those events. You can also individually set your overall difficulty for 3 game aspects: enemy encounters, loot availability and resource costs, and overall map difficulty. You can choose from 5 different maps and switch between those maps during a playthrough. There's also a legacy system to preserve your favorite characters, and 3 different game modes. If you can get this game on a sale, I can highly recommend to give it a go. The game has aged very well and is big fun to play, even if it doesn't have the total scale or in-depth game systems like more recent releases, which isn't even a disadvantage in some cases. I just recently discovered Surround Dead because I'm usually not into low poly games, but this one took me by surprise. It is a very DayZ-like PvE only experience with cool endgame raid locations, base building and an accessible crafting system. I made a very detailed video about how this game plays and feels 2 weeks ago. Go and check it out if you want to learn more. A big content patch just hit the game, and even though it is early access, you will already find a very enjoyable game, and at the current price point it is an absolute steal. It also runs flawlessly on the Steam Deck, and I think it is a fantastic game for that device. Now this game, or better game mode, might surprise you on this list. Single player Tarkov. Technically a survival extraction shooter where you also have to deal with hunger, thirst and have a base/hideout that you can slowly expand. Instead of a seamless open world, you will play in sessions that last between 15 and 60 minutes on the various maps, before returning to base where you can deal with traders, manage equipment and build your hideout. And while you need to own Escape from Tarkov to run this game, the mod itself is free and super easy to install and manage through the according tool that you can just download. It is vastly superior to the now available PvE mode from the base game with much better AI and a ridiculous amount of mods. You can tweak every aspect of the game, be it the economy, difficulty, raid timer, if you want to keep gear on death and so on. You can turn this game into anything you want. What you get is some of the best tactical shooter gameplay on the market with excellent gunplay, enormous gun customization and intense firefights. All without PvP, cheaters, toxic players and so on. Wrapped into survival elements and a truckload of quests to keep you busy for ages. The community on Reddit is also super friendly and supportive and will help you with any questions that you might have. Stranded: Alien Dawn is in my eyes an often overlooked gem of a game. It was released in 2023 and features a full workshop integration on Steam. It is a top-down isometric survival community manager where you crash land on an alien planet trying to survive. Well, ultimately even to escape, but you can also try to just build a thriving community without ever leaving, thanks to the available mods. You have to deal with the different talents of your team, setting work and sleep schedules, and micromanage the different tasks, like harvesting, planting, hunting, building, and so on. You always play as a community, not an individual. The twist here are frequent invasions of not so friendly alien bugs, which gives this game a little tower defense twist. Build up fences, collect and craft weapons, establish turrets, and so on. You can define how hard or easy this aspect of the game is, so no worries if you don't like that part very much. Fighting and preparing for the different seasons, harvesting and storage food in time, dealing with harsh weather outbursts will keep you on your toes while you try to expand your base and unlock new technologies via research or sending people on small expeditions. Nearly every discovery of a new plant, animal or material will grant you access to a new tech. It can be a very chill and satisfying community manager that turns into a bug-infested nightmare or resource-draining change in weather very quickly. But you have full control over various difficulty settings and you can play the game however you prefer. The final entry on this list is a special case for me, because I kinda have a love-hate relationship with the game. Once Human is for sure a big success with a very constant 250k player count even weeks after the launch. It is free to play with no pay to win mechanics and the always popular catch them all virtual companion collecting mechanic that never seems to lose its broad appeal, like Palworld proved recently, or some maybe even remember the Tamagotchi hype a long time ago. And this is placed on top of a typical survival crafting base building loop with constant gear progression in a very distinct setting. And while I enjoy the secret world-like vibes and profoundly understand why people like this game, and the loop had me engaged for several hours, I'm also annoyed by a lot of shortcomings. The movement feels rather floaty. Outside of points of interests, the textures feel very cheap, with resource nodes and player buildings sticking out like sore thumbs. And my inner German wants to scream every time I have to interact with the various shops, events, currencies and so on. It feels like 10 different teams designed the various systems and then tucked it all together with duct tape in the end. There's a shop with currency you can buy for real money and another currency you get sometimes for free. In-game shops for items, event rewards with another currency and milestone rewards with yet another currency, and all placed in different menus you access differently. For God's sake, put anything that grants rewards and anything you can buy stuff from in one cohesive menu. And the other thing you either love or hate is the total lack of challenge, stakes and meaningful difficulty. It is a comfort game through and through, and this might even be part of the success. Video games are a recreational activity and not everyone wants to engage with a high-stakes game like Tarkov after a stressful day. This game is comfort food. Some may find this dull, but some will love it exactly for this. But be aware, it has a very kinda mobile games feeling to it. Which other survival games would you recommend and why? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video. For now, this is all. Take good care of yourself and enjoy surviving the apocalypse.